Welcome back to Unbound Faith. Glad to be back with you as we journey through Genesis. Today, we're looking at chapter 3, the one that's echoed for ages. A lot of folks call it the fall.
Yeah, it's a story that even if you've heard it a million times, can still have something to teach us today.
Absolutely. So we find ourselves in the Garden of Eden, and it's not just any garden, is it? It's this picture of perfection, humanity in perfect sync with God. It makes you wonder, what was it about that harmony that could be broken so easily?
That's a good question. When I read about the serpent, that word subtle always stands out to me. It's not about force or anything. It's about planting those seeds of doubt, right? Did God really say? He asks Eve. Sounds almost casual, but look at the effect it has.
Yeah, you start to question everything. The rules that seemed so straightforward suddenly get blurry. And then Eve's response, she repeats what God said, but then she adds, "You shall not touch it." What's your take on that?
Oh, that's an interesting one, isn't it? It's like she's trying to convince herself, drawing a line in the sand. Or maybe she's already kind of absorbing that doubt the serpent planted, starting to add her own interpretations.
And that's where the serpent really goes for it, right? Twisting things, appealing to what Eve wants deep down. You'll be like God, he tells her, knowing good from evil. Such a basic temptation, that desire for knowledge, for power.
Absolutely. And you can't forget how the fruit itself is described. Good for food, delight to the eyes, desired to make one wise. Almost like the text itself is making this picture of irresistible temptation, appealing to every sense.
And right then, they disobey.
Oh,
But those consequences, they're instant, and I think way deeper than they could have ever imagined.
Oh, their eyes are open, that's for sure. But not the way they thought, right? Now they see they're naked, and it's not just a physical thing, is it? It's this profound shame, like a loss of innocence.
You said it. And what do? They hide from each other first, then from
Yeah.
God. Like that openness they had is completely shed.
Yeah, it really gets to you. When God calls to them, where are you? It's not like he doesn't know, right? It's about their relationship, how distant they've become.
And how they react is so relatable, isn't it? Adam blames Eve blames the serpent. It's that classic move, trying to dodge responsibility, find someone else to take the hit.
Exactly. Doesn't change the outcome, though. God curses the serpent, the woman, and the man. And those curses, they bring pain, hard work, conflict, all these core parts of being human into the world.
Feels like that's the moment the world itself changes.
Yeah.
But even with all that weight, there's a little bit of hope, too.
Right. When God talks to the serpent, he mentions the offspring of the woman crushing the serpent's head. It's subtle, but it matters.
Easy to overlook, but it points to something better coming, a time when the damage from sin gets fixed.
For sure. And then there's this beautiful but kind of sad moment. Adam gives his wife the name Eve, the mother of all living, recognizing that life goes on even though things are different now.
Yeah, it's a reminder that even if we mess up, stray from that ideal, life keeps going. But it makes you wonder, how do we deal with this new reality, with sin's consequences and the hope of redemption, all mixed together?
It's like when they're forced out of the garden, right?
Yeah.
And God puts those cherubim there with the flaming sword guarding the way back. That's got to be about more than just a physical barrier, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. It gets at a deeper separation, like a broken connection to the closeness they had with God. Makes me think about the ways we distance ourselves in our own lives, the things we do that push us away from God, from each other, even from who we really are.
It's like we all have this picture of the garden inside us, this longing for something that feels lost. But even in their exile, even with all the weight of their choices, there's that glimmer of hope we talked about, that promise of a redeemer, of things being made right.
That's what keeps us going, right? Knowing that even when we stumble, when we're hiding in the shadows, God's still searching for us. His love and grace, it's always there, calling us back to that place of closeness, of being whole again. So we're leaving this story behind, and it's a story that shapes so much of how we see ourselves, how we understand our relationship with God. What stays with you? What part speaks to you the most?
For me, it's knowing that even when we're messed up, even when we fail, we're not forgotten. There's always a path back, always a choice to do things differently, to step into that light of forgiveness and make a fresh start.
This is Unbound Faith, thanking you for joining us and wishing you blessings and peace on your journey.